Good morning, Year 5, and welcome to your first yoga lesson with me over remote learning. Now, this could be quite interesting. I'm having to do something slightly different to what we would have been doing in school, so hopefully you'll be able to follow along with me a bit. For some of them, you might want to have a look online as well. For today, what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick warm-up, and then we are going to just introduce ourselves to some of the poses and what their names are and what they look like. So you will need to have a bit of a space. You can see I don't have a yoga mat in here. So if you do have one, that'd be brilliant. I would recommend doing this in bare feet, especially if you are on quite a slippery floor, because that will make it much easier for you and you're less likely to fall over and slip and slide. I'm trying to make sure that I project my voice as much as possible here because I will be slightly further away from the camera. But if you can't hear me, that's okay. Just try to copy the actions that I'm doing. So make sure that you've got a space. If you need a drink of water with you, then make sure you get a drink of water. And let's have a look at our warm-up first of all. So find yourself in a bit of space and make sure that you have got enough room to move your arms around and up, preferably. And we're just going to start moving by marching our legs, putting our hands out and up and in front of us, and out and up and in front of us. We talked before about how a warm-up make sure that oxygen gets round to all of our muscles, and in yoga as well, because there's stretching involved, it's important to loosen our muscles up as well. Okay, so now we're going to go for big arm circles all the way back and then back round forwards as well. Try and keep your feet planted. Keep your shoulder blades pushed together so that you're nice and tall. Okay, we're going to have a go at trying to move our legs. So put your hands together in the middle of your chest, bend into a side lunge, and then the same on the other side. If you need to widen your legs a little bit, that's fine. Just trying to move our whole bodies round so that we're nice and limber. Okay, this one is quite a football favourite. We're going to open the gate, it's called. So imagine you're lifting your leg over a gate. Use your hands to help you to push it, not too far. And then finally, we're going to have a go at some grabs and things like that. So if you're having struggle balancing here, focus on a point on the floor and swap it round. See if you can get your knees side on. Okay. And we'll go into something called warrior. So we will go into like a lunge position, arms up. You can have your knee on the floor, or if you're feeling a bit more confident, you can raise your knee and have a look up. And then step back, and then do the same with the other leg. Again, knee on the floor if you need it, knee up if you can. And both hands up, looking up at the ceiling. Step back, do the same on the other side. And up. And step back, and then do the same here. Okay, shake your body off. And what we are going to do is we're going to have a look at some of the more common yoga poses. Yoga has something called a flow, which means that if you were to go to a yoga class or do something online, people try to flow these moves into each other. But it's really important to be able to master those moves before you can look at those flows. So we're going to go through some of them today and talk about some of the variations of them as well. So how if you find it hard, you can make it a bit easier, and how if you find it easy, you can make it a bit trickier for yourself. I'll try to tell you what the names are. I might not be able to keep up with the thing that I've got in front of me as well, but hopefully I will. So go back to that space. Make sure you've got lots of room. Pause and have a drink now if you need one. So we're going to start with sun pose, where your hands start together, you come up, round, and back into the middle. Next, we're going to go on to elephant pose, where you let your body fall, hands together, And you always flop them in front of them like they're an elephant's trunk. So like this. Our next one is called tree pose. There's two variants of this. You can either have your foot down on your shin and move your arms up through your body like this. However, if you feel more confident, you can have your leg as high up as you can get it. And again, start your hands together in your chest and bring them up. And as a final one, you can have something called swaying tree, where your arms are apart and you're moving slowly from side to side. Make sure if you're struggling with balance that you're picking a point on the floor to look at to make it easier for yourself. Okay, let's have a look at our next one, which is called mountain pose. This is where you're standing nice and strong, clenching your core so that it's nice and firm. And as a variant of that, you can go up on your tiptoes as well. You should start to feel that in your calves as you push up. Mountain pose is quite a good one as almost a bit of a rest when you're doing a yoga flow. The next one is a whale pose. So you're down on the floor, grabbing your feet from behind you and lifting your head up. If you want to challenge yourself with that, the higher your chest is up, the more challenging it is. And if you rock backwards and forwards, which I can't do from this position, but some of you gymnasts probably will be able to, that adds that extra thing with your core. It means you're activating your core as well. Okay, so the next one is called the butterfly pose, where you have your feet together. It's really good for opening up your hips as well. You have your hands here. If, like me, you struggle to get your knees down too much, so that's about as far as I can get them, you can apply a little bit of pressure with your forearms or with your hands, not too much though, but just to help you to open that stretch up. So the next one's called frog pose, quite obvious. So you're starting here, coming down with your hands between your legs, your knees going out, and then you're hopping up like that, just like a frog. The next one is called cat-cow pose. It's a bit of a strange one. So you start off sort of on all fours like this, and you swap between cat, where your back is up and your head is down, your chin in towards your chest, and cow, where you bring your neck out and extend it, and your stomach comes down towards the floor. Okay, one of the most famous yoga poses is called downward dog. From cat-cow, all you need to do is lift your bottom off the floor, lift your knees up, and put your head in between your elbows. Now, you might want to sort of walk out your feet here. You should feel a really nice stretch in your calves as you do this. So that's a really, really good one to stretch out the back of your legs here. Okay, moon pose, similar to sun pose. So we come, oops, sorry, I've gone too close, come up, and then like it's a crescent moon, come round to the side, and round to the other side. If you do it nice and slowly and you're tense, then you should feel something here. Star pose, we've got both hands coming up and coming round to our chest while we're facing forwards. Giraffe pose, we've got one foot facing forwards, one foot facing the other way, and our hands up like it's a giraffe's neck, and we come down doing this. Try and keep a straight back the whole time, then swap your feet and do the same on the other side. Arms up and down like this. Okay, next one is similar to the frog pose. We've got the gorilla pose. So you're down sort of squatting, but with your elbows, your fists on the floor instead. If you're doing this, you can come up and you can do that as well. Bird pose, we're almost hugging ourselves and making like a beak there, and moving up and down. Swap your hands around so that you've got the other one on the top, and up again like this. Now, scorpion pose. We need to get ourselves into downward dog, and then one leg at a time, you're bringing it up and bending it up behind you. Now, some of you gymnasts will be able to do this much, much better than me. As far as your heel can come back round on your body, bring it down, swap the leg over so that it comes up and round. Try not to twist too much there. You want to stay a bit straighter so that it's all in there. The next one, eagle pose. So for this one, you're wrapping your leg around the other one, bringing your arms, twisting them round, and then trying to come down into almost a one-legged squat. And we do the same on the other side. You might need your hands helps for this. Twisting your arms together, coming down into a squat. If you're like me, you'll find one side is harder than the other. Okay, so warrior pose. You need to have one foot facing forwards, your lunging foot facing to the side, you have your arms out nice and wide. You're going to keep your body as upright as possible, and then you swap it around, so this foot now is facing forwards, this one out to the side, lunging into it, arms out nice and wide. Camel pose, down on your knees, hands sort of in the small of your back, just above your bottom, and leaning back into it, looking up at the ceiling. Again, lots of you will be able to get much further than me there. And if you want a progression on that, instead of having your hands on the small of your back, you can grab onto your heels and you can move back into it like this. Again, that one, not necessarily designed for people like me, but some of you gymnasts will be much, much better with that. Finally, we've got crocodile pose. So you're lying with your small of your back flat against the floor, your palms down on the ground, so you should be able to feel yourself pushing into the ground. You're lifting your leg up one at a time, so your feet should look like a crocodile mouth, opening and closing. Okay, we will keep going. Cobra pose. So this time you're lying on your front with your arms sort of next to your hands, pushing in next to your shoulders, and you're just pushing your upper body up so that you're lifting your chest off the floor, nice and straight like that. If you want to progress with that one, you can lift your legs up as well so that you've only got your feet on the floor. And finally, a nice relaxing one to finish. This is one of my most famous yoga poses. This is called Lotus Pose. So you get yourself cross-legged, hands resting on your knees, and this is quite a good one for relaxation. If you wanted to have your thumb and forefinger touching, you can. If not, you can just rest your hands on your knees like this. And this is a really good chance to just take in some breaths. If you want to progress this one, then you can have your feet on top of your legs. I can only do it on one side at a time. But again, some of you gymnasts will be able to get both feet up on your legs at the same time. And this is a really good way to finish it. So there we've had a bit of an introduction to lots and lots of different yoga poses. Throughout the weeks, what we'll do is we'll try to involve them in a flow so that you're getting used to them. However, yoga is a really good relaxation tool, and it's really good in the morning as well to wake yourself up. So I would recommend having a go at some of those poses as much as you can in a week. If you can practice putting a flow on them and going from one pose to another, that's absolutely brilliant. But what I'd love to see is either some pictures of you in some of the poses or some videos of you having a go with them. And as we go through the weeks, we will start to develop that. Hopefully that was really helpful for you guys. And don't just do this lesson today, do this one as much as you can, because it's really important for us to keep on moving, especially with the weather as it is outside, where we might not have that chance to go outside.